The reason why people end up running from you or leaving you out in the cold has nothing to do with you. It has to do with what you bring up in people, what you might trigger in them. And I feel like you're somebody that, whether you are intentional about this or not, you carry a lot of truth and you speak a lot of truth. And I feel like the way that you might come across could be triggering to people who haven't really been open to seeing the truth in their own self. So you being so like open and vulnerable with your own truth, it's almost like you feel it's easier for you to be able to do that with other people. But I feel like at the same time, like even if you're doing this like with no intention of trying to trigger anyone, things you say naturally bring up things that people haven't been able to truly face. So if you notice people like moving away from your energy or like not speaking to you as much, it's because being in your presence is really triggering, because you shine a light on the things that they were wanting to keep in the dark, or we're in the dark, and it's a lot. So you're being called to not take anything personally and just know that the people that are meant to be in your life, whether or not they get triggered or not, they will be able to hold space for themselves and for you, and not like ending a connection just because of what you bring up in them. So I feel like you could be used to people that would almost like change the direction of the relationship when they would get triggered. Like if someone, say you say something and someone gets triggered by it, and then like they stop talking to you, or they start a fight with you, or they're passive aggressive with you, it's like you could be used to being in connections like that. So you learn to almost like suppress your truth, maybe to like tiptoe around it and not trigger anyone, even though like that's not even be what you're trying to do. It could just be like you are very open with yourself, so like the things you say are very open and honest. And I'm not saying like you cross boundaries and you're just like throwing truth bombs left and right, but in other people's eyes it might feel like it. So I feel like right now you could be attracting in new connections that will be able to understand this, be able to understand their own self, their own darkness, so that you aren't triggering people, because you're not meant to shrink yourself for anyone just because they're uncomfortable with what you have to say, or just because they're uncomfortable with like their own self. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not your place to help people heal. It's not your place to help people see the truth. So it's either you just speak what you're saying, you know what I mean? Not trying to force anyone to see anything or do anything. But if they choose to like pull their energy back from you, let them. Don't chase anybody that isn't willing to like do the work, or don't chase anybody that isn't willing to understand you, and that you're not trying to like intentionally trigger anybody. Because a lot of times when you face your own darkness, you carry a lot of light, but at the same time you're able to see that same darkness in other people, so you're used to wanting to like help them see the light. But it's not your job. If anything, your job is just to continue to be that light, continue to be, if you need to trigger people unintentionally, that's just what you're going to do. But it is meant to, you are meant to do that in some sort of way with the people you come across, to almost like wake them up to the fact that they do have things that they've suppressed. But it's not your job to get them to heal. It's not your job to force them to see it. It's just like, if it happens, it happens. But at the same time, I feel like with the work you've done, you are kind of like moving away from past connections that might have felt like you needed to shrink yourself, where you're actually starting to attract more people that have done the work that will like not feel this way. You know, they won't get triggered because they've done their own work. So if this is how you're feeling, if this is what you're experiencing right now, just know that it was never you. You were never the problem. It was just your truth was too much for some people, and that is okay. And that doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you need to stop being truthful and honest. It just means that you were surrounded by people that couldn't struggle to face their own self, which is okay also. But if that's something that, you know, you don't resonate with or you don't align to, then you don't have to. But I do feel like you are in an energy of really attracting new things right now because of the work you've done, and because of the way that you don't necessarily take it as personal as you might once have, because you know the reason behind it, because you faced your own darkness. So just know that you are deserving of connections that truly see you and truly hold space for you, and don't leave you in the cold because of their own triggering.